It's the second day of competitive action here at Zandvoort for the Ginetta Junior Championship, powered by Sunoco Fuels. Round 15 of the championship coming up next. It was Lewis Goff who took his seventh victory of the season, the championship leader, who won yesterday's race. But as ever with the Ginetta Junior Championship, it was close, competitive, racing, and we look forward to more of the same. 24 teenagers have made their way over to the Netherlands for this one overseas event for the championship, and one of the headline events here at the Zandvoort Summer Trophy, along with British F4, two of the headline junior championships making their way over to Zandvoort. A second season, consecutive season for the Ginetta Junior Championship racing at this venue, and it's sort of a key part of the season now as well, as the championship has moved into its second half. We've been to Donington Park, Silverstone, Alton Park. Only a couple of weeks ago, we're at Croft for the Ginetta Festival, and with only 3 events to come after this. Key points to be scored over 2 races we have today. John Munro along with me, Joshua Barrett, looking forward to much of the same we had yesterday. The race winning margin yesterday was 11 hundredths of a second, and there's no reason why that couldn't be even closer today, John.
The opening race truly was sensational to watch. But do you expect anything different with the Ginetta Junior Championship? You know, it always produces great racing action. These youngsters know how to put on a show. And yeah, what a race we saw yesterday. Kaluzdian on the pole position, defending from Ashcroft on the opening lap. But Lewis Goff, our championship leader, decided, you know what, I'm going to take both of them around the outside of Mastersbocht and turn 9 and managed to make that move stick. A move or a lead which he basically never relinquished. I mean, there were certainly points where Harrison Mackie got alongside Lewis and perhaps nosed ahead for a brief metre or two. Come the finish, it was a whopping 1/10 of a second between the two of them, so a dominant, easy win then for Lewis Goff in the R Racing car. We also saw the likes of Harry Bartle coming through to finish on the podium as well, our championship contender, losing a little bit more ground though to Lewis Goff in the process, of course, with the 7th win of the season for the number 4 car. And we also saw a charge from Riley Cranham early in the race, having suffered a 5-place grid drop. He started from P9, managed to fight his way all the way up into the top 5 and was looking incredibly pacey, but unfortunately maybe a little bit too pacey as he lost the rear of his Ginetta and ended up in the Armco barrier. So he'll be hoping for better today. It is, of course, a reset. The grid is set for race 2 by the second fastest lap set in the qualifying session. So it will look a little bit different to the grid we saw yesterday. But certainly the racing itself is still expected to be very exciting. And Lewis Goff this time will not have to overtake 2 cars in the opening lap because he starts on pole alongside Riley Cranham, who had all of that pace yesterday. I think it's set up wonderfully, this race, Joshua.
Yes, I'm sure it will be. The cars are being released now from the paddock to the grid in grid order. I think they're making their way out, headed then by Lewis Goff, the championship leader, who extended his lead margin yesterday. I reckon he's on 381 points now to Harry Bartle's 317, who was third in the race yesterday. He made progress during the course of that race. Jesse Phillips, who didn't go so well yesterday, he's out equal on points, I believe, with Harrison Mackie. And Jacob Ashcroft sits 5th in points. Okay, Lewis Goff has won a lot of the races this year, but there have been actually several other drivers to have won. Harry Bartle and Harrison Mackie have taken a couple of victories, and Jacob Ashcroft, Riley Cranham, and Josh Watts have all taken a race apiece as well. It's a long season in the Ginetta Junior Championship, but that's absolutely what you need as you're starting in cars, learning so many different tracks, all the best tracks in Britain, plus here at Zandvoort means the Ginetta Junior Championship is a great learning curve for drivers who are looking to have great careers in motorsport.
It certainly is, and we talked a lot about that during yesterday's race. The amount of lessons you can learn in one Ginetta Junior race is incredible. The cars are difficult to get the most out of lap time wise. You know, they're fairly pliant and friendly to drive, but to be fast in these cars, you have to get on the power incredibly early. And on these kind of road spec tires, the rear end can be pretty loose. So They're not easy cars to throw around the circuit, especially at the pace some of these drivers are going at. And we, of course, see Formula One world champions come through this series. So it's not as if the caliber of competition is any lower because these drivers are very young. In fact, it's the opposite. They all have numerous karting championships between them, which is exactly what we want to see. And of course, that means the racing is going to be good. These drivers will be very used to their racecraft through karting. Now it's time to learn it in a bigger car. Now, also, I should mention, from yesterday's race, there was a small amendment. Daniel Oliver suffered a one-place penalty in the results for crowding another driver off track, so he drops to P7 in the order from yesterday's race. But not only that, he also suffers a 5-place grid penalty for this race. So watch out for the number 12 yellow Elite Motorsport car coming through the field from a little bit further back than he may have intended.
Yeah, that's right, and we saw it's certainly possible to progress. Riley Cranham did that yesterday before it went a little bit wrong. He's there on the front row. The two are racing cars and leave the grid behind the pace car, which is standard practice in Ginetta Juniors. Here is how they line up. Lewis Goff starts from pole position alongside his teammate Riley Cranham. Harry Bartle, second in points, is alongside the Red Bull Junior, Melvin Kalustian, who went from pole yesterday. Jacob Ashcroft starts fifth alongside his Elite Motorsport teammate Harrison Mackie. Matt Murray and Daniel Oliver, penalised, starts eighth. The local driver, Devin Hagelin, is ninth alongside Alton Park race winner Josh Watts. Jesse Phillips is 11th, looking to progress. He starts alongside Henry Cameron, Sebastian Luge and Noah Young on row 7. Bailey Doherty and Ian Daniskia start on row 8. Vicky Farfus had her best result of the season yesterday. She starts 17th alongside Dominic Darley. Andrew Robinson is 19th with Vlad Tomenchuk alongside. Ethan Brass and Sebastian Del Gaudio start on row 11. Then Anascu Mapamulo starts 23rd. And Addison Smith, who didn't qualify yesterday, will start from the back, but he made progress yesterday and will be looking to do much of the same in round 15 of the Ginetta Junior Championship, powered by Sunoco Race Fuels, with Lewis Goff then starting from pole position, as he has done on several occasions this season, but he's come from much further back on the grid in the past as well to have successful results. It was interesting yesterday that once he got to the front, John, he was never able to pull away, but we didn't see a really big challenge from drivers behind to actually make a move on him.
Yeah, I mean, Mackie definitely gave it his best shot later in the race. Early in the race, it was actually one of his racing teammates. So there was a lot of drivers working together. I think it was Kaluzdian who went with him after being overtaken on that opening lap. And we saw the drivers sort of going 2 by 2, didn't we? We saw 2 racing cars, then 2 Elite Motorsport cars, third and fourth, and they were sticking in pairs, essentially bump drafting, and not necessarily bump drafting, but essentially pushing each other along. Trying to catch up to that lead pair. And then towards the end of the race, when there was a bit of a shuffle, we did see Harrison Mackie give it a good go, trying to get past Lewis Goff, but Goff was able to stand firm. The thing is, this time around, I think Riley Cranham has got phenomenal pace in that second R racing car, based on how he came through the field yesterday. I know he had the bit between his teeth, but even with that, I think he passed 4 or 5 cars before, unfortunately, putting it into the Armco barrier. Good to see that car back out there. Hopefully it all feels okay as well, because he wouldn't have had any chance to drive it out on circuit between that incident and now. But Cranham proving his pace. Hopefully he's not been put off confidence-wise by that incident yesterday, and he can put on a good challenge. Of course, the 2 cars in the front row, both being teammates, we could see them work together, and I wouldn't be surprised if Cranham slots in behind Goff, or if he gets a better start, Goff slots in behind Cranham, and the 2 work together to try and maintain that lead and work out the finishing order later on in the race.
The Ginetta G40 Junior Evos are making their way back to the grid ahead of round 15 of the championship. All the cars on the Control Pirelli road tyres with a Quaife Racing drivetrain sequential box. They've all got 100 brake horsepower sealed engines, so not the most powerful cars in the world, but some of the most exciting racing in the world will come from the Ginetta Junior youngsters. The green flag is waved at the back ahead of round 15 of the 2026 Ginetta Junior Championship, powered by Sunoco Race Fuel. The red lights go on and off very rapidly. I think that's caught out 1 or 2 of the drivers, to be fair, and Lewis Goff has made a much better start than the rest, so he heads up towards Tarzan as the leader. Riley Cranham defends hard. Elvin Kalustian finds a Ginetta G40 car whip to dive up the inside of Harry Bartle, who has lost out because Jacob Ashcroft is that who made an excellent start from 5th on the grid. traditionally, we don't see many position changes in Ginetta from the start line to turn 1, but the very quick lights on and off caught out some, and that has shuffled the order behind Lewis Goff.
Yeah, great move there from Bartel, coming back on Kaluzdian, who himself made a good move on Bartel heading towards turn 1. It was a fantastic start for the Red Bull Junior, and he, as you say, found a hole somehow that just about managed to fit a Ginetta through, and Bartel, in fairness, gave him the room. Bartel, though, now suffers from trying to come back on the inside, didn't get the run, and it's the first of our Elite Motorsport cars then that comes through on Bartel. 3 Elite Motorsport cars in a little bit of a pile there, including local driver Devin Hagelin as well, so keep an eye out for that one. Now you can see Kaluzdian defending to the inside, but it is a good start, as you said, for Goff. He manages to hold on to that lead, and now down the inside comes Bartel on our Elite Motorsport driver. Through he goes, so it's back up to P4 now, or 5 I should say, for Bartel. I'm not sure if that's Harrison Mackie or Max Murray he's fighting away with, can't quite see from here.
Yeah, it was Mackie that he was battling with, but the big mover, I guess, at the start was Jacob Ashcroft from 5th up into 3rd position and challenging Riley Cranham for 2nd place. But it is Lewis Goff with a healthy margin in Ginetta Junior terms, heading up towards the S1. He flings the car over the curbs and is, a second or so ahead of about a second between Riley Cranham and Jacob Ashcroft. Gap back to Melvin Kalustyan, who is there in 4th position. There's a train of about 5 of them heading into turn 13 and then up towards Ari Lynerdijk. And out wide goes Cranham. We saw this a bit yesterday in the juniors, that if you touch the gravel there, you're trying to use all the road, a little bit too much road though used, make that actual momentum, not just through the next corner, but all the way up towards Tarzan, and this could allow Jacob Ashcroft, the fast starter, to gain a place. He's right in the toe, he pulls out of the draft, he's on the inside line for Tarzan, he breaks later than Riley Cranham, and up into 2nd place goes Jacob Ashcroft. So a great move there from the 15-year-old racer from Somerset, up into 2nd. He started 5th, so that is the biggest mover of all at the sharp end.
Excellent stuff there. Excellent execution from Ashcroft. You can see just how much momentum was lost there from the tyre dipping in the gravel from Riley Cranham. With a 100 brake horsepower, you really get punished for those small momentum sapping mistakes. I actually thought it might have been too early that he got punished, because I thought Ashcroft might not be able to use that slipstream. He's going to catch him too soon, but he managed it perfectly, waited until the right spot into Tarzan Bocht, made the move stick. Great stuff from Ashcroft, and we've got some great battling going on further down here. The 2 Elite Motorsport cars are going at it as, that's a squeeze down the inside from Murray, I believe, on Mackie. Can he make that one stick? We'll have to see. And in fact, no, that's Oliver on Mackie, I should say. Apologies. And you've got the R Racing car right in there as well. That'll be Max Murray, of course, in the 17, looking to get involved too. But the Elite cars are going at it once more, heading now down into turn 9. Let's see how they all come out. They're still going to run side by side. This is classic Ginetta Junior stuff. Murray waiting in the wings for his opportunity. Meanwhile, Kalustyan holding on from Bartel for P4 as well in the Red Bull backed car. So those two are going to continue their battles. And yes, of course, the 2 Elite Motorsport cars are still side by side as we head towards the chicane. Shouldn't be surprised.
Team orders, what are team orders? Everyone's racing for themselves, absolutely, this morning at Zandvoort. They're still side by side as they head into the S-Bend. Harrison Mackie and Daniel Oliver. Oliver, remember, coming through from that penalty. He should have been starting much higher up the grid, but going from 8th on the grid, the Spanish racer Daniel Oliver trying to gain positions, get himself up ahead of his teammate Harrison Mackie. Daniel Oliver, who had his 15th birthday yesterday here at Zandvoort, which didn't quite go to plan, did it, with that penalty? Not the birthday present he was looking for, but he's gaining positions this morning. But it's Lewis Goff who continues to lead, particularly through the middle sector. He was significantly quicker than the cars behind, so he's extending his margin from Jacob Ashcroft, who's still ahead of Riley Cranham, and big battle going on for 6th position still, as Harrison Mackie, who held on actually ahead of Daniel Oliver. But then round the outside, the 3rd of the elite cars, Devin Hagelin, using perhaps local knowledge here at Zandvoort, goes right round the outside of Max Murray to try and get 8 positions. So Elite Motorsport worked well there as a team. I'm not sure if that was part of the plan, but they held Max Murray back, who was trying to, not trying to really make the move, but keep the tight line, but that allowed Devin Hagelin just to drive around the outside. And that's not the first time we've seen that here at Zandvoort, where people are defending hard. You can just drive around the outside of them on the racing line.
Beautiful move there from Hagelin, wasn't it? Committed around the outside, and almost helped a little bit from his Elite Motorsport teammates, sort of defending from the R Racing car, of course, of Max Murray. So opportunistic, great stuff from Devin. Actually almost pulled alongside the other elite car as well of Oliver during the process. So great stuff from the three yellow cars. They seem to be working together, but of course they'll have to work very hard to catch Kaluzdian and Bartel just out in front. And once again, Joshua, it seems like we're going 2x2 here. Goff and Ashcroft out in front. In fact, Goff's on his own. It's Ashcroft and Cranham second and third, and Kaluzdian and Bartel fourth and fifth, working in pairs to try and close in on Goff, who will not have a slipstream and will not have that support. Can the cars running in twos catch the four man, it has to be said, in this championship running solo? We will have to wait and see. Just looking further down the order as well, we did see a bit of close racing earlier on between Young and Bailey Doherty coming out of the chicane on the previous lap. Doherty taking to the gravel, so it's getting feisty in the midfield as well, and commitment there into the chicane from Harrison Mackie. He's obviously going to be desperate to try and get back towards this lead group with only 14 minutes to go in this one.
Lewis Goff wasn't so good through the middle sector this lap, so Ashcroft and Cranham have caught 4 attempts just in the middle sector alone, and Ashcroft's having a good sector 3 by the looks of it, pulling clear from Riley Cranham, and now he's picking up the slipstream from Lewis Goff. So what was a 1 second lead is going to be halved at the end of 3 laps, if not more than that. It's down to a third of a second, so big gains on that lap from Jacob Ashcroft. If anything, it was a poor lap from Lewis Goff. He was 7 tenths slower than he was on the lap previous, so that has allowed Ashcroft, who is bringing Cranham with him, up towards the race leader. So Lewis Goff, who hasn't had to defend up to now, is under threat then from Jacob Ashcroft, a driver who finished 4th yesterday, but is up there now, the driver 5th in the championship, Jacob Ashcroft, who has been a race winner on 1 occasion this season, which came at Croft, which actually I think was after penalties for others. So he would like to win a race on the road for the first time, and he's got every opportunity to do that seemingly, as he has caught Lewis Goff with still more than half of the race to go. Plenty of battles continue as ever down the order in the Ginetta Junior Championship, particularly that battle for 6th place led by Harrison Mackie. John, a look back at the start of the race.
Yeah, and you can see Ashcroft making a great start from the outside there. We also saw Hagelin come to the inside to defend position straight away. Goff, textbook stuff. There's Kaluzdian on the inside in the Red Bull car, just having a look at Bartel. Bartel defends, but look at this from Kaluzdian. Opportunistic, sees a gap, sends it. Bartel squeezes as much as he can, but in full credit to Bartel, he leaves a car's width there. Very difficult to judge with the pit wall on the inside. Brave from Kaluzdian, but great stuff from both of them. But it wasn't over. Bartel then tried to get back past Kaluzdian into Hugenholtz. It didn't work out for Bartel, of course, on the inside line. Less traction on the exit, and he lost another position to Harrison Mackie in the process. So great stuff all round. Great stuff from Ashcroft particularly. And obviously, as we saw in that previous lap, that mistake from Goff, just losing half a second in 1 sector, instantly brings Cranham and Ashcroft into play here. Now we have what we want to see, a 3-car scrap for the lead, and that's another, speaking of scrap, Goff just running a little bit wide out of that last corner, and Ashcroft's going to have a chance here to do exactly what he did to Riley Cranham.
Okay, so is this the opportunity after that small error from Lewis Goff? Jacob Ashcroft looks to the inside, defending his Lewis Goff ready for the first time this weekend, but he didn't defend early enough. So Jacob Ashcroft dives down the inside and leads at Zandvoort Circuit. And Lewis Goff might lose second to his teammate Riley Cranham, who were trying to buy into this battle for the lead. He draws up alongside his R Racing teammate as they turn up towards turn 2, and he's done it. Up into second place goes Riley Cranham. Lewis Goff, 1 mistake at turn 13, not just lost him the lead, John, but he's down to 3rd.
Yeah, that is a great example of what we were just saying, how 1 mistake can cost you so much in Ginetta Juniors. With this momentum that you need, it's a great way to learn how not to make mistakes. And Goff is the man we haven't seen make many mistakes this season. He's made a very small one there, potentially 2 laps of mistakes in a row, and instantly through comes Ashcroft. Opportunistic. Good from Riley Cranham as well to get involved, and it just shows you, how easy it is to drop from 1st to 3rd. But Goff knows how to make his way back through the field. He'll not be too worried yet with 10.5 minutes to go. Ashcroft goes defensive, and there you go, just like that. Through comes Goff on the inside. More contact between Ashcroft and Cranham, and Goff's going to take both of them immediately back up into the lead of this race. And all of a sudden, 3 is about to become 5, because there is Kaluzdian and Bartel. Epic stuff once again here from the juniors. Defensive line from Goff into turn 10 to block off Ashcroft, and now Cranham's going to have another look around the outside. These guys are going to be loving this.
it was the same corner as yesterday where Lewis Goff made up 2 positions, but in a different way. It just shows you if you defend here at Zandvoort, it really compromises your speed and really leaves you vulnerable, not necessarily to the car behind, but the car 2 cars behind. Cranham's up to second now as he goes through at the S-bend. Down to third then goes Jacob Ashcroft, who was leading half a lap ago. And as you say, that's brought in the next group, Kalustian, Bartle, and Harrison Mackie as well, who seemingly has pulled clear of the battle behind, I think. So we've got 6 cars in the lead battle with half of the race still to go. 10 minutes on the clock, and Lewis Goff and Riley Cranham trying to get away now from Ashcroft, who was battling to take the lead at this point of the lap. 1 lap ago. Now he's defending hard from Melvin Kalustian. He can find small gaps on the inside of Tarzan corner. He's done it once already. He's trying to do it again as he dives up the inside and he goes through. Oh, and the lead has gone wide, hasn't he? Lewis Goff has outbraked himself and run out wide while that's all been going on. So Riley Cranham has retaken the lead, I believe. And then in second position, all of a sudden, is Melvin Kalustian, who has the narrowest Ginetta G40 on the grid.
That's incredible stuff from Kalustian. He knows exactly how wide that car is, and that's the crucial part here. Meanwhile, Goff was thinking, while we're all watching the overtake, now's a good time to make a mistake. No one will notice. Well, we did notice, unfortunately. It was a lock-up from Goff. Running wide actually did very well to keep out of the gravel. It could have been a lot worse for our championship leader. And Riley Cranham, having had a nightmare, it has to be said, yesterday after showing the pace, suddenly finds himself in a lead, and there goes Ashcroft down the inside of Kalustian again. Goff's now going to look to the inside on the exit and try and take both of them once again. Ashcroft does get Kalustian. In comes the elite motorsport car of Mackie now to the inside. Bartle's getting involved through on Kalustian. This 5-car pack is going to be very interesting heading down towards turn 9 and 10. Cranham's loving this in his rear view mirror. He's just driving away. But I mean, so much to unpack there. So much to unpack there, Josh. What great stuff from Kalustian. Unfortunately, though, he's ended up in P6 at the end of this one. And just to quickly flag as well, we did have an issue on the previous lap for Dominic Darling, the young Scotsman in the 47. Something went wrong around about turn 9 and 10, so he's dropped back now down into P20.
And Vicky Farfus is in the pit lane, which might be related too. So a couple of cars with dramas on the previous lap. But yeah, position to change on every corner in round 15 of the Ginetta Junior Championship. Second, well, for 4th he started the lap, Kalustian. Then he was second, now he's 6th. You have to watch this race corner by corner to understand exactly what is going on. But for Riley Cranham, what is going on is a good lead with 7.5 minutes of the race to go. Probably 4 more laps at the end of this. Can Lewis Goff and the rest catch back to him? But Riley Cranham's not got to worry about defending, although he drives to the middle of the road, trying to break the toe, I suspect, from the cars behind. He would like them to battle so he can pull even further clear, and that's absolutely what they're doing. Harrison Mackie up the inside of Lewis Goff, who perhaps a bit more timid on the brakes after what happened earlier on the previous lap. So that allows Harrison Mackie into second position once more ahead of Lewis Goff. Meanwhile, Jacob Ashcroft was trying to get the better of Harry Bartle for 4th position, but it is Riley Cranham that leads. Second is Mackie, third is Goff as they turn their way through Hugenholtz. Bartle held on to 4th, actually ahead of Jacob Ashcroft. Melvin Kalustian is next, and Daniel Oliver is starting to catch them in P7.
We talk about how much you learn racing in this series. Well, did you see the different approach there from Bartle heading into turn 1? If you've got Ashcroft or Kalustian behind you, defend the inside into Tarzan Bocht. We don't need to defend the inside everywhere because, as you can see, Ginettas have no problem going around the outside if someone like Lewis Goff is driving it. But you could see there Bartle applying that knowledge. He knew that Ashcroft was going to send it down the inside if he could and make that stick into Tarzan Bocht. So he covered the inside and came out of it ahead in P4, of course, and well, didn't cover the inside well enough there, unfortunately, because into turn 9 through goes Ashcroft. So it's just constantly changing. Now Kalustian gets involved once again on the outside. We can't keep up with this. It's Ashcroft, Kalustian, and then the 73 of Bartle in behind. Just wait, though, for Oliver to get involved in number 12. Hopefully a little bit less involved than he got with some cars in the previous race, picking up that grid penalty. But he will be looking to take around about 3 positions as casually Kalustian runs onto the grass alongside Ashcroft heading into the chicane. Is he going to make it stick, though? Yes, the narrowest Ginetta in the field does just about get the move done, but cannot make it stick. Through goes Ashcroft again, and all of this is really allowing Bartle and Mackie, who have now got the head down, to escape and try their best to close in on the flying Riley Cranham. But Cranham's pace is mighty impressive here, Joshua, so it's going to be tricky for anyone to catch him at the moment.
Yeah, and I think when you're battling, you're losing lap time all the time, driving by yourself. is generally quicker if you're not working together behind, and no one's really working together, particularly in that battle for fourth place. Earlier in the lap, Max Murray had a moment, so he's dropped outside the top 10. The lead gap has come down by a couple of attempts, so it's 1.1 seconds now from Cranham to Mackie, and I think that is because Mackie and Goff are working together. They're not working together behind, so they are losing time, but they are having a great battle. Jacob Ashcroft continues to lead the group. At one point in this race, we thought Jacob Ashcroft might be winning it, but it doesn't look like a podium is going to come out of this. He would quite like to hang on to this fourth place if he can, with Kalusian, Bartle, Oliver, and now Jesse Phillips has joined in on this battle as well. Having a better race for him. He didn't really have yesterday go quite to plan for somebody that's been a regular front runner, although yet to win. He's had more podiums than most this season as Jesse Phillips. He is involved in this battle pack for fourth position. Defending is Jacob Ashcroft. Kalustian gets right underneath the rear wing of the car ahead, and then he will look down the inside into turn 8. Big defensive move, so watch out for people around the outside here. Harry Bartle's going to take the perfect line, but he gets hit and goes around. I don't think realised a car was beside him. Good 360 and recovered. Didn't lose a huge amount of time because of that. He was trying to take the optimal racing line, and I think the car that he made contact with, which might have been Daniel Oliver, has got damaged, and several cars running slowly now.
Unfortunately, it looked like a bit of a racing incident there. I mean, if there was no one behind Bartle, that move would have been on and it would have been incredible. The problem was, there was somebody behind Bartle, and that man was Oliver, who was, of course, going to turn into the corner and then had Bartle cut across the nose. So we'd have to see some replays. It was getting frenetic, and unfortunately, it's cost Bartle. But tell you what, 100 points for style for that recovery from the number 73. Great stuff. Hopefully not picked up too much damage. And it was getting very exciting just ahead of that as well with Glusdien and Ashcroft, which is why all of that happened. The two of them were running each other way to the inside. Going to lose tons of time doing that, of course, but they managed to just about survive because of Bartle getting spun behind. Just for anyone who's relatively new to this type of racing, it's a little bit like cycling that you might see at the Olympics or the Tour de France. If you're in a big battle pack, you are going to lose time if you start fighting each other. And if you're on your own out in front, obviously you're going to have clean air, so it's not so bad. But actually, the optimal way to be is to work together in a group. So if you're in a 2 or 3 car group, not only is the car behind getting the slipstream and can sort of push the car in front along, but even just having a car right behind you does actually affect the airflow over these cars and will make you quicker down the straight. So even the car in front benefits from a sort of reverse slipstream, if you like, which is going to make the difference in a car like this with limited power. So actually, the reason Mackie and Goff have closed in on Cranham is because running in as a 2 is actually quicker a lot of the time than running individually. That is, as long as the car in front is quick enough on their own to actually hold the pace and you're not getting held up.
Yeah, and they've slashed the lead to Riley Cranham, 2/4 of a second. It's come down even more than that now, so it's absolutely a bad one for the lead. Daniel Oliver's car was damaged in that incident. He has not made it to the end of the lap, and somehow Josh Watts got caught up in all of that, who was in that battle pack as well. So we've lost Daniel Oliver and Josh Watts. Harry Bartle, he actually only dropped to 9th in all of that, but the battle for the lead come into that zone now, which is under double waved yellows, which I think is going to remain like that to the end of the race with those cars that have had to pull off. There you can see Daniel Oliver's car, and then one side, Josh Watts' car's on the other side, and then we'll go into a green flag zone. I suspect it will stay like that for the final lap of the race as well, so that's not going to be an overtaking opportunity. The rest of the circuit is, and Riley Cranham, who once looked comfortable up front, is no more, as Harrison Mackie and Lewis Goff immediately behind. Lewis Goff tends not to pass one car when he passes someone, he passes 2, so that's a concern, not just for Harrison Mackie, but for Riley Cranham as well.
Yeah, you're almost better if Mackie backs off now and lets Goff through into P2. I think it'll help Mackie a little bit here because Goff has history. The problem is because the car in first is only going to be able to defend from the car in second. That's why. So weirdly, it almost is true that it's better to be third than second heading onto this last lap. Obviously, it's better to be first when you cross the line to finish. But that double-waved yellow in turn 9 could make a big difference here, Joshua, on the last lap. We've seen so many overtakes through that section. We're not going to see any on the last lap. They're going to have to be careful, and the drivers are going to know that. In fact, that's a checkered flag out early here, by the looks of it, and it's going to be over the line closer than yesterday, and Mackie takes the win.
Yeah, Harrison Mackie with the slipstream got past. We weren't expecting a checkered flag then. I think they've waved the flag early because of the cars off, so they don't have to go through that yellow flag zone again. And that might have been the thing that caught Riley Cranham out. He wasn't expecting that. Harrison Mackie got the slipstream of all slipstreams up across the line and managed to pull out of the toe and pipped it by 22 thousandths of a second. We said it might be close in yesterday's result, and it would. And it was a change, though, at the line. So that was quite exceptional, wasn't it, from Harrison Mackie to take his third victory of the season. More wins than anyone else other than Lewis Goff. So Lewis Goff, who was hoping to gain 2 on the last lap, does not. So he drops down to 3rd position. Riley Cranham disappointed, I'm sure, with 2nd place after what went on. Jacob Ashcroft ended 4th ahead of Melvin Kalustian. That was just as close. Then Jesse Phillips, Henry Cameron, Devin Hargland, Harry Bartle and Sebastian Luch completed the top 10. And I just wonder if the drivers, because the time hadn't run out, are still going to race to the line just in case that wasn't the end. But we saw the checkered flag. The timing screens have had the checkered flag go out as well. And you can understand why they flagged that race early, John, with those 2 cars, particularly one very close to the edge of the circuit, rather than risking another run through the yellow flags. They checkered flagged it just a few seconds early.
You can, but of course the drivers need to be aware of that, and it looks like they are, to be fair, just because of course if some of them know that and some of them don't, that's actually a more dangerous situation that's being created there. But I do completely understand it, because it's not great having those cars at the side of the track. We don't want to go to a safety car for the finish. So yes, it did catch us by surprise there at the end. When you said before this race, it was just over a 1/10 of a second between 1st and 2nd yesterday, and you said it could be closer again. I almost made a joke about the fact that of course it's not going to be closer than 1/10. Well, it was 5 times closer, 200ths of a second this time between Mackie and Cranham, and Mackie, who was on the wrong end of it yesterday, gets on the right end of it today. But what a superb race in the Ginetta Junior Championship. Only one major incident that we saw there at the end, which was unfortunate, but until that point, the racing was superb. Great respect from the drivers, pushing each other hard, taking risks, on the limit, absolutely, as you should be, but not going over that limit. So it was a great watch, and well done Harrison Mackie for yet another win, and well done Ginetta Juniors, because that was fantastic.
Let's have a look at the results of round 15 of the Ginetta Junior Championship, powered by Sunoco Race Fuels, with that winning margin of 22 1,000ths of a second. It was a 3rd win of the season for Harrison Mackie. Riley Cranham was 2nd and Lewis Goff 3rd. Jacob Ashcroft took 4th with Melvin Kalustian in 5th. Jesse Phillips 6th ahead of Henry Cameron. Devin Hargland, Harry Bartle and Sebastian Leach completed the top 10 ahead of Bailey Dougherty and Noah Young. In 13th position was Ian Daniskia, ahead of Addison Smith, who came through from the back to finish 14th. Vlad Tomenchuk was 15th and Dominic Darling in 16th. Ethan Brass was next, ahead of Andrew Robinson. Samuel Delgaudio was 19th. Aniscu Mapamulo was 20th. And Max Murray, after a pit stop, dropped to 21st. And we lost 3 drivers in that race, most noticeably that incident that eliminated Daniel Oliver through no fault of his own, really. Josh Watts got caught up in it too, and Vicky Farfus retired to the pit lane earlier in the race. So that race, I think it's fair to say, had an element of more going on than race 1. So if we increase that again for race 3, that's going to be one not to miss, John.
Yeah, I think I'm going to need a long hot soak in the bath after race 3, if it's anything like race 2 already. I mean, there we see the recovering number 12 car of Daniel Oliver. And of course, it's worth pointing out as well that the finishing order from this race sets the grid for race 3 later on. So unfortunately for Daniel, whose weekend continues to go downhill following a strong showing in the first race, he will be starting from towards the back of the field for this next one, as will Max Murray, who was right up there at the start of the race. Josh Watts, of course, getting caught up too in that incident, and Vicky Farfus will be starting from the back. Great progress, as you said, from Addison Smith, who started down at the back because of a lack of laps in qualifying, didn't get out in qualifying, the number 15, but that means that Addison will now start from 14th for the last race, so a good chance of him to score bigger points going forward. But what performance from these drivers, it's been really fantastic to watch, and any one of the top 5 could have won that race at pretty much any moment there, Joshua, which is exactly what we want to see.
That's right, we see it pretty basically in every round, and we've got more of that to come later. The teams have got a few cars to sort out, but we have great faith in the top teams running these Ginetta Junior machines. So the 3rd race of the weekend comes up around 20 to 3 here at Zandvoort. So if you're watching back in the UK, that's 20 to 2. It's the time to tune into GT World, the place where you will find all the rounds of the Ginetta Junior Championship, powered by Sunoco Race Fuels, with the Ginetta Championships coming under the umbrella of SRO for 2026. So we look forward to speaking to you again this afternoon for round 16 of the championship.